Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering game 2 of the tournament I played in May 2024. This is, I lost in the first round with white pieces in a harrowing Sicilian game against the highest rated player I would play in this tournament. And this is game 2 against an unrated opponent named Proud W. And I'm playing with the black pieces in this one. I had white in the first round. So yeah, I don't know how strong my opponent is, but I'm trying to feel her out in the first. Well, I'm trying to feel out how strong my opponent is in the first couple of moves of the game here. Anyway, so I play knight f6 against d4 here. So I've been playing the Grunfeld this tournament. So if my opponent plays c4, I want to play g6, knight c3, d5. This is what I want to do. This is kind of the main line that I want to go into, where I give white a great center, and it actually looks like black is a lot worse, but after castles in something like c5, black is fighting back with knight c6, queen a4, bishop g4, stuff like this. Queen a5, my mistake. All right. Anyway, none of that happens. So there's no c4. After knight f6, we get bishop to f4, the London system. So I play d5 here. And so here my opponent's probably going to play moves like c3, e3, bishop to d3, knight f3, and castles. That's because it's a very beginning setup. And already I'm beginning to suspect that my opponent is not very strong, or, perhaps just playing first couple tournaments. And so she has a very simple opening that she's working with. Anyhow, we get e3. I play c5. This is my critical way to challenge the London system. It's nothing fancy, but you get some immediate tension in the center. I want to play moves like knight c6, e6, bishop d6, and castles, and trade off this bishop if I can, because it's the only active piece that white has right now. Anyway, we get c3, knight c6, we get knight f3, e6, and bishop d3. So now I play bishop d6. A continuation of my plan, and we get castles here, which is a slightly awkward move. Generally, the move is bishop to g3 here, so that if black takes, there's h takes, and this rook is open. And even and the doubled pawns on the g file here aren't much of a weakness. In fact, they do a good job of repelling white forces near the king. So my opponent chooses instead to castle, and I do trade the bishops here. Doubling the f-pawns and giving my opponent a bit of a weakness. And the next move I play here is, I knew was not the best move, but I played it because I already kind of felt like my opponent was the weaker player, and I wanted to challenge her and put her in a position where she didn't feel very comfortable. So I played this move c4, which generally isn't a good move, because in these positions with the queen pawn, you want to have the pawns on d5 and c5 to challenge the white center. And you generally want, if anything, you want white to take over here. Say if I castle, white takes over here. Because this attempt by white to hold on to the pawn with something like queen a5 and b4. Again, queen a5 isn't the best move, but it's actually not very good, because while white is busy, hanging onto the pawn, it's actually not very easy to hold on to it at all. And with let's say something like queen e7, b5, b4, a5, it's actually very difficult to actually hold on to the pawn, because I'm going to take, and my knight is always taking. If you play a move like a3, there's always the trap with knight takes b4, and if you take, then you lose the rook, and stuff like that. So anyway, I instead play c5 here, because I want, after bishop c2, I'm just restricting more space on the queen side, and generally you want mobility in positions, which is why c4 is a bad move, because you want to be able to move your pieces freely and take space. But at the same time, c4 does give me a space and cramps my opponent's ability to move their pieces. You see bishop on c2 has just one square on a4, which is kind of an awkward square, which I can easily kick out with b5. So, I choose c4. Okay, now I castle after bishop c2. We get knight e5. And here's a kind of critical moment. I guess you could say it's very simple, actually. the move I eventually chose. But here, if I choose to take on e5, I'm actually losing pretty much instantly after a move like knight e8 because of queen h5. And there's a mate threat on my h7 pawn, so I have to play a move like g6. And after queen h6, I'm actually quite a bit worse in this position because of the strong pawn on e5, which doesn't allow my knight to get back in the game. And I'm actually struggling quite a bit here. So I do not... I select not to trade on e5, and instead I play this move queen b6, the second choice of the engine. And I'm trying to attack on b2 and also defend my knight over here, additionally. So here, remember when I said, when I played c4, that I was cramping this bishop for room, and it had only one good square, or one square that it could go to without being captured? Well, here my opponent makes a mistake because of this move c4 in some ways, and she plays the move bishop to a4, attacking or putting more pressure on my knight. Unfortunately, this does hang on b2, so I'm able to play queen takes b2, attacking the rook, and also putting pressure on this pawn on c3. Here, the computer has a very weird line. It's not weird, but maybe if she was a stronger player, she could have found it. It basically wants to give up the rook on a1, and then play a move like knight to a3. In this case it doesn't work, but a move like f3, let's say rook b8, and then knight a3, and my queen is trapped, so I have to sacrifice my queen for the second rook. King takes, and then after a move like a6, b4, b5, black has the two rooks and an extra pawn, so he's up 2 points of material, but this is definitely still a game. Now, instead of that, so after queen takes b2, instead of queen d2, which looks like it loses a rook right away, my opponent played knight to d2, and here I'm able to take on c3, and you can see the computer also thinks that my advantage is quite strong here. So here my opponent plays rook to c1, attacking my queen, but unfortunately I'm able to capture here again on d4. And at this point I'm feeling quite bad already because I feel like my opponent is not the strongest player and I'm kind of bullying her around by, taking all of her pieces. Here we get g3, which unfortunately hangs another pawn after knight takes e5, and then queen takes on e5. So after a couple of moves, this is the 15th move of the game, and I'm up 4 pawns. Somehow I've gotten quite a number of pawns here. So all of these pawns here are shortly going to be rolling down the board, and you can see that by the end of the game, that is what ultimately decides who's going to win the game. Okay, so here we get the move f4, attacking the queen. I play queen to e3 check. King moves up to g2. And here I play the move knight to e4, offering a trade of knights. So here also, instead of knight e4, the computer suggests this move b5, which looks like just the loss of a pawn here, but it is a computer line, and so I guess it's justified. And after the move bishop to a4, rook comes into the second rank, attacks the knight over here, and after a move like rook c2 and rook b4, the computer argues that this is quite a bit better for black over here. However, I'm not a computer. I don't think I would have ever played the move b5. I probably would have played a6, b5 if anything. Sorry, can't draw arrows. So instead, I decide to offer this trade of knights because, again, I'm up 4 pawns. I'm up 4 points of material, so this should be a good simplification of the position for me. Okay, but here instead we get this move queen to e1, which unfortunately does hang a knight, and I play queen takes d2 check. And after the trade of queens here, and rook to e1, I play a6 here, preparing b5, and I'm actually just up 7 points of material here. So we get rook to e2, I play knight to e4, and I'm preparing the move b5, and I just want to roll down the board here. We get king to f3, b5, bishop to c2, knight c5, and I think the move here is king e3 that gets played. Yep. And here I develop my bishop and get ready to bring my rooks and then push my pawns. So we get king d4 attacking the knight. The knight drops back to d7. We get h4. Here my opponent really doesn't know what to do, so she's just playing a move. Hopefully, maybe she's trying to create something on the king side, but at this point, it's far too late for that. I play the move rook to e8. She doubles up, and I play the move a5. Here, I'm trying to just play b5, b4, and get the pawns rolling, as I've said countless times already. So, oops, sorry. Here, my opponent plays f5, which allows me to play e5 check, and after the king goes to c3, I play the move b4 check. King goes to d2. And here I play c3 check. And finally, here's maybe one of the last mistakes of the game for my opponent. She should pick either king c1 or king d1, but instead, it really doesn't matter at this point, but she picks the move king to d3, and here I have the move bishop to a6, which picks up the rook over here. So king to e3, bishop takes rook, king takes, and here I play e4. And the point of e4 is just to blunt the effectiveness of this bishop, and I just want to play d4 and d3, and then make a couple of queens here. So we get bishop to a4. I play rook to e7, defending my knight. The king goes up to e3. I play knight to c5, attacking the rook. Sorry, the bishop. The bishop moves to c6, and here I sacrifice the rook. It's not really a sacrifice, but I'm counterattacking his rook, and you know, if we have this trade, and if something like king e2 happens, just c2 here, and it's very difficult to prevent the queen here. Even a move like I guess even a move like rook c7, and if you go here to try to stop the queen, knight d3 check, king back, and queen here is going to lead to mate very shortly here. So that doesn't happen here. So instead of taking the rook, my opponent decides to play rook to d1, and I continue with the move c2, attacking the rook and threatening to make a queen. My opponent plays king to d2, trying to prevent the queen, but giving up the rook over here. So I capture, make a queen. He takes my queen, and here I play the move rook to c8, attacking the bishop. Apparently here I think e3 was probably a faster move to just get the W, but after king e2, I could probably make a winning position here. However, I just decided to keep things simple and just play the move rook to c8. So bishop takes d5, and I play e3 now. And my point is very simple. I'm just going to make a queen and win the game. So I'll just scroll through the moves here because it's just cleanup process at this point. So we have king to e2, and here I sacrifice the knight. I'm just throwing a material away now because I just want the queen so I can checkmate very quickly. So king takes d3, and I sacrifice the rook with e2. So now the king can take the rook, and he does. And now I make a queen. King b3, and now I play queen d1. Check, forking the bishop and the king. The king goes to c4, protecting the bishop. And here I play rook c7 check. And here, after king b5, queen d5, king here, and queen takes a2, it's going to lead to mate very, very soon. And also there are a couple of lines here presented by the computer up above my head, so you can check those out if you want. But regardless, after rook to c7 check, my opponent resigned the game, and I won in the second round of my tournament with the black pieces, bringing my score to 1 out of 2 in this 5-round event. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry, I recorded this video like 3 or 4 times, but there were some problems with OBS and my situation, so I have to use this rubbish camera now. So I hope you forgive me for that, and please do come back tomorrow to check out round 3, and then the days after that for 4 and 5, and I am really appreciative of you watching the video. Please stick around for the next one tomorrow. So don't stick around. Don't stick around and then come back, and then you can stick around tomorrow. All right, see ya. Bye-bye.